Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of the trailer for Star Wars Andor Season 2, the final 12 episodes of the best Star Wars title in recent years. Disney Plus will be batching these episodes so that every 3 episodes represents one of 4 chapters, each covering 1 year of the lives of Cassian Andor and his fellow rebel spies, leading up to the tragic yet hopeful ending that we saw in Rogue One. So we're gonna get 3 episodes on April 22nd, set in 4 BBY, 3 episodes on April 29th, set in 3 BBY, 3 episodes set on May 6th, set in 2 BBY, and the final 3 episodes on May 13th, set in around 1 to 0 BBY. We are going to be breaking down each of these 4 chapters in weekly analysis videos, so let's break down this trailer shot by shot for all the cool details that you might have missed. And we have to start with the music choice of this trailer. This song is Steve Earle's 2004 song, The Revolution Starts, or The Revolution Starts Now. These were the opening and closing tracks of the album, The Revolution Starts Now, in which the track list closed with a coda version of the opening song that added the now to the title. Now, you could say that using a rock song to promote a Star Wars title as opposed to like an original orchestration by a composer like Nicholas Bertel or Kevin Kiner or Ludwig Göransson or John Williams might take you out of this a little bit, and I get that. I respect that opinion. Like, the trailers for season 1 were edited around the hammering of a metal bell on Ferrix and all that cool throat singing, and using a rock anthem feels a bit more like a revolutionary party that's designed to invite everybody in, and not like a somber symphonic reflection on the sacrifice these characters will be making. It's probably just that the marketing folks at Disney Plus really want to draw in new viewers with a more upbeat energy and a lot of positive statements from press people after season 1, and that's probably also why they're changing the release schedule into this batch approach to appease the people who prefer to binge their streaming content. I mean, look, a trailer for Skeleton Crew used Peter Schilling's Major Tom Coming Home, and I don't really have that much of a problem with a Star Wars streaming series setting the tone thematically in a way to draw in new viewers. I mean, this is Star Wars. They're at Disneyland, right? Music is a big part of the promise viewers have in our heads when we decide whether or not we're going to watch a title, but even deeper than the music itself is the emotion that music inspires. And these lyrics and electric guitar riffs might inspire a sense of anarchy that Andor needs us to feel, and I think it's actually pretty appropriate to use like a rallying rock anthem here, because sometimes being a revolutionary coalition means hooking people in with a rock anthem to just get them to the meeting before you sober them with a chilling speech from Luthen Rael about what revolution really entails. I mean, revolution kind of has to go mainstream at some point, right? It's marketed as a party to build a big enough tent to tip the scales, and the true believers who were there from the beginning just kind of have to learn to bite their tongues and be okay with these late adopters who are just there for the hashtag and the free pizza. I do appreciate how the lyrics of the song contain this: I saw it written across the sky, the revolution starts now. Written across the sky feels like a direct description of how Cassian Andor and these other rebels derived their inspiration to fight on Aldhani. Cassian and his intellectual inspirations like Nemec, and yeah, Ebon Moss-Backrack, Cousin Richie, and Ben Grimm, he was there too. All of these intellectual inspirations witness the Eye of Aldhani in the sky, the meteor shower being a spiritual experience for them, one tragically soured by what we learned on Skeleton Crew that apparently in the decades since, the Empire turned Aldhani into a toxic bog. And really, in the Andor season 1 finale, Marva's funeral march on Ferrix ended with her giant holographic recording urging everyone to fight the Empire, which we actually know from the show creators that originally it was her yelling fuck the Empire, and they took it out, and that's why Fiona Shaw's mouth was staticked out on that particular word. Now, the first shot of this trailer is Cassian Andor walking through an opulent courtyard past a woman walking 2 pets with groomed wigs. Do these poodle things not look like Edna Mode from The Incredibles? I love these things. This is not a hot take, but my favorite part of going out to eat is the food. I've never cleared time out of my calendar just to go to a restaurant and soak up the ambiance. What I really want is a fresh, high-quality meal made by someone who knows more about food than I ever will. And if I can get that at home, even better. I've saved money, saved time, and still got a great meal. That's why I use Cook Unity. Cook Unity delivers restaurant-quality meals from award-winning chefs right to your door, saving you the hassle of shopping, cooking, and planning. Their menu is huge, so you get to enjoy a wide variety of global gourmet flavors to suit your palate. And if you've just made a New Year's resolution to go vegan, keto, high protein, low sodium, or any of 1,000 other dietary choices, Cook Unity has you covered. Personally, I'm trying to be better about not eating so many ultra-processed foods, and Cook Unity is making that easy and delicious to do. We tried California-style chicken enchiladas from Chef Kevin Meehan, and it was so good. We've also loved the French beef ragu and the Mediterranean chicken shawarma bowl. Cook Unity is offering our viewers 50% off their first week. Just click the link in the description below and use code NRockstars50 to try it out. Once again, that's 50% off your first first week of Cook Unity if you click the link in the description and use code NRockstars50. Thanks to Cook Unity for sponsoring this video. Now, this is the same fancy outfit that Cassian seems to be wearing at the end of the trailer. Looks like he might be meeting Mon Mothma. But the question is, could this be Mothma's home planet of Chandrilla? Or are these white stone archways the planet of Gorman, the location of the Gorman Massacre? We know the Gorman Massacre is coming on this season, probably in the third batch of episodes that come on May 6th, which would just be 2 days after May the 4th. The Gorman Massacre was the Imperial war crime in 2BBY that forced Mon Mothma to break her silence and speak out against the Empire in the Imperial Senate. And then she had to go into exile and join up with the crew of The Ghost in the animated Rebels series. Now that we've seen all the members of the Rebels crew in live action, from the Ahsoka series with Iman Esfandi as Ezra Bridger, Natasha Leo Bordizzo as Sabine Wren, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera Syndulla, as well as Chopper. And there was a photo of Freddie Prinze Jr. on Hera's dashboard as Kanan Jarrus, and Zeb was in The Mandalorian Season 3. Could we possibly see some of these live action cameos in Andor Season 2? Maybe. I kind of feel like Tony Gilroy would reject any fan service cameos like that. It's just worth mentioning that we're kind of seeing a similar frame of time in which the events of the Rebels series was occurring. I would just love some reference to the crew of the Ghost, especially since Chopper and a vocal shout out to General Syndulla and the Ghost all showed up in Rogue One. Now, Leia Organa showed up in these earlier seasons of Rebels, and obviously Grand Admiral Thrawn was the principal antagonist. I just don't think we're going to see Lars Mikkelsen as Thrawn on the series. Not only do some timeline questions start to come up a little bit, and Tony Gilroy seems to resist any big Star Wars cameos, it just doesn't seem like Andor as a series has that many characters that are non-human species. Like droids, sure, but very few Twi'leks, Erodians, Mon Calamari, Trandoshans, Klatooinians, Solistans, Niktos. Like, I don't think every Star Wars title has to have a huge mix of colorful alien species in the background to feel like Star Wars to me. I just feel like Gilroy is spending his budget on other stuff and other cool wardrobe elements beyond like the typical face paint and facial prosthetics that we see in Star Wars titles. But if this is the Gorman Massacre, now learning that Cassian Andor was there for it sets up some pretty dark possibilities for how that massacre could have really started. For example, did Cassian intentionally spark this incident knowing it would mean the death of the innocent civilians on Gorman, knowing that if these wealthy one percenters with their posh Edna mode poodles were killed instead of, the forgettable blue collar workers on Barracks or the millions of Geonosians, that incident could force Mon Mothma to have to go public to expedite the rebellion in order to get the richer planets like Alderaan to publicly flip to the rebellion. Like, we could see how Cassian would be taking pages out of the book of Saw Gerrera to embrace these terroristic tactics, forcing these outrageous atrocities to occur in order to manipulate public sentiment in the favor of his cause. The next shot shows Imperial stormtroopers firing on civilians in this same location, with regular folks and stormtroopers laying dead in this shot. So it truly wasn't just a one-sided massacre. Imperials will suffer casualties, and it is possible that Cassian started this just to make sure the Empire really finished it. We see more of this massacre a little later in the trailer as Cassian turns to see an explosion that rocks some of these stormtroopers, while several dozen civilians appear to be dead in the courtyard. There's also a shot of this other fighter screaming in the courtyard while people in the background carry flags and banners. We actually see these same flag carriers in the background on the right on the opening shot of the trailer, and I think they're among the dead civilians on the steps in the shots of the stormtroopers. So it looks like the Gorman Massacre is gonna be like the barricade sequence in Les Miserables. Like, imagine Cassian quoting Nemec's manifesto to these insurgents. Like, we're all in our heads gonna be hearing, "Will you join in our crusade? Who will be strong and stand with me? Beyond the barricade, is there a galaxy you long to see?" Now, next, there's a shot of this, looks like some kind of transportation skiff getting electrified. There's a sign with Orbesh on it reading, "Warning, please leave plenty of space to something." Also, there's some text over a doorway on the right, and folks, we really tried to translate this and figure out what language this is. We looked through every Star Wars written language we know about. The Urkatat alphabet, the Huttese alphabet, the Mandoa alphabet, all of the ones we know of, and I swear it's not any of those. But using some basic substitution code on the bottom word, it looks like it's a 7-letter word. The first, the fifth, and the sixth letter are all the same. The second, the fourth, and the seventh letter are all the same, and the third letter is unique, and the top word, curved on an arc, contains none of these letters. So I'm just saying, I tried, guys, I tried. But as we saw in the Acolyte, sometimes, the Lucasfilm group just loves to plug in new languages and stuff and not tell us that they have a new language. Several of the shots in this trailer follow Cassian and other characters as they move down these corridors, and we see them from behind. It just recalls the earliest shots we saw of Cassian Andor in the pilot of this series on the footbridge on Morlana 1. Then a shot of someone, I think it's Bix, shooting an Imperial officer, which looks like it's like the ground floor of the ISB on Coruscant. Next, a shot of Cassian on the Rebel base on Gavin 4. You can see the X-Wings flying in the background, another one parked closer in the background, various Rebel pilots walking around, both ones in orange jumpsuits and some in blue jumpsuits, which might be part of the Blue Squadron that we saw in the Battle of Scarif. Cassian Andor is wearing a very similar jacket that he he wears throughout Rogue One, but it's not the same jacket. This guy just has all kinds of cool jackets. I assume this will be from the final batch of episodes as we get closer to the Rogue One events, and here would be a good place that we might run into General Syndulla or to Chopper, since we know they were on the space leading up to the Battle of Scarif. Sadly, I don't see the Ghost parked anywhere in the background of this landing pad, but I'm confident we'll see the Ghost flying somewhere in the background of the show. Now, I love this shot of Wilman Pak running through these grasslands as stormtroopers in the same location are apparently firing after him. At first, I thought this might be Lothal, but we've seen quite a bit of Lothal, and I think this actually might be our first live-action look at Dantooine. You remember Dantooine as first mentioned in a throwaway line as the evacuated rebel base mentioned by Princess Leia to Tarkin in the first film.
Where is the rebel base?
They're on Dantooine.
There. You see, Lord Vader, she can be reasonable.
In Knights of the Old Republic, Dantooine had big yellow grass plains like this, and an early version of Rogue One was going to feature the evacuation of Dantooine, according to some great Doug Chiang concept art for that film and confirmed by Lucasfilm's John Null. Other shots show Cassian flying over this field, blowing up an Imperial transport, and he is piloting the new TIE Avenger, while Cassian's buddy Brasso also returns in this location, sporting a new beard. And a shot later shows Cassian hugging Bix in this grassland as well. When Cassian fires from the TIE Avenger, you can actually hear the classic Lucasfilm targeting beeping sound effect. We actually heard this on Darth Vader's targeting system when he was piloting the TIE Advanced in the trench run of the 1977 film. So the TIE Avenger model was originally developed for the TIE Fighter video game. The manufactured prototypes of the TIE Advanced X1 inspired future models like the TIE Interceptor and this TIE Avenger. The TIE Avenger was described as one of the first production starfighters to break away from the Imperial doctrine of quantity over quality with the inclusion of deflector shields, a hyperdrive, and these warhead launchers that just look so sick. Then there's this shot of Saw Gerrera, Forrest Whitaker coming back, looking closer to how he looked in Rogue One with his breathing mask. I assume we will see in this season how he and his partisans end up on Jedha. Next, a shot of Mon Mothma that just looks like a painting of some kind of mythological ballet of nymphs. But this is actually just the wedding of her daughter, Leida, to Stakhan Skuldun, son of Devo Skuldun, who was the Chandrilan oligarch who acquired his money through some shady means, but a partnership with this guy was really encouraged by Mon Mothma's husband. This trailer gives us one shot of Luthen Rael, which has me a bit worried for how many episodes we'll see him in, but presumably this character will die since his character does not appear in any of the scenes with the Rebel leadership in Star Wars Rebels or in Rogue One. I think we're gonna see him burn his life for a sunrise he'll never see. Cassian and Bix walk away after detonated an explosion, and I love how they synchronize it on the revolution starts now. Bix's hooded jacket looks like the same hood worn by the person who shot the Imperial officer on the way into ISB, and that's why I think it's her. Ben Mendelsohn returns as Orson Krennic, the Imperial officer overseeing the construction of the Death Star. In addition to his role in Rogue One, he also showed up briefly in Bad Batch. The post-credit scene of Andor Season 1 showed how the Narkina 5 prisoners were actually building panels of the focus disc of the Death Star, and Krennic looks out at this battle station's construction, entering its final stages before that disc will lower into place that we see in Rogue One. I just love the scale of this thing, how these Star Destroyers that are supposed to be massive look like little paper boats in front of this colossal structure. Next, there's this dead guy in a ship hangar as Saw Gerrera's squadron of Cavern Angels with the black-tipped X-Wings take off in the background. Cassian joins Clea on Coruscant. She grabs his collars in an emotional rage. Clea, remember, was Luthen's associate in that antique shop and part of his spy network, and I wonder if this shot could be after Luthen dies, and Clea might be blaming Cassian for just letting this happen. Next, we see some Imperial soldiers without helmets, but they are wearing like Imperial armor. We saw some of these in the background of the shot behind Dedra that comes after this, but it still looks a little weird. They are moving down the same hallway that we saw Cassian from behind earlier. The guy on the left is wearing goggles that kind of look like the ones worn by the Mud Troopers in Solo. Next, our one shot of Dedra Miro in this trailer, our favorite ambitious ISB agent. Then this shot of Orson Krennic chatting with Mon Mothma and Devo Skuldun. It looks like he's going to be a guest at the wedding on Chandrila, and that's why we heard his audio earlier when he said, "What a splendid party this is." I think I got it. But one of my favorite shots in this trailer, the TIE Avenger just mowing down the stormtroopers in this hangar. I think this is when Cassian steals this starfighter before he goes to save Wilman and Brasso. There's an even cooler shot of this trailer from the stormtroopers' ground perspective later. Mon Mothma then dances in this this Trandrillan wedding celebration of her daughter Leda, and she is going full out. It's like Mothma in the machine here. Another great shot, a camera mounted on the X-Wing with the S-foils in locked position with an R5 astromech following Saw Gerrera's ship as we jump in hyperspace. I believe we're seeing this from one of these black-tipped Cavern Angels X-Wings. Another shot from the wedding, Davo Skuldoon with a fancy photography droid, his wife at his side greeting Mon Mothma and her husband in the foreground. I just love the analog disc design of this thing, and it applies the same ring light principles with the flash devices on all sides of it. Our one shot of K2SO, whom I think we'll be seeing meeting Cassian on this season. Now, the moment these two met was actually explored in the Cassian and K2SO Marvel comic, but I'm wondering if it could be adapted or just kind of retconned on this series. Then a shot of the stormtroopers running into the hangar where Cassian used the TIE Avenger to blast them. The background actually looks like a snowy mountainous location. I don't know, maybe this is the same base on Eadu that we revisit in Rogue One. Riot troopers then push back against an angry crowd wearing the same black gear as the riot troopers on Ferrix, and I'm wondering if this could be the early stages of the Gorman massacre before the stormtroopers come in, because this guy pushing against the riot troopers is wearing a beret, and we know from celebration footage of Andor season 2 that Cyril Karn also wears a beret in the same location. I think it's just part of the everyday attire of people here. Then we see some heavy machinery plowing a stone street. This is the same skiff that gets electrified in the earlier part of the trailer. I don't know, maybe this is Ferrix and we are going to have some scenes that take place there. Cyril Karn then runs through a security checkpoint in a classy business suit and a brown trench coat. When we last saw Cyril, he finally won Dedra's approval when he saved her from the rioters on Ferrix. So yeah, it looks like he's going to be present at the Gorman massacre as well. Then we see our old friend Ruscott Melshi. He was the other prisoner who escaped from the prison on Arcana 5, and we know he's going to join the Rogue One crew in the Battle of Scarif. Another shot of what I think is a Gorman massacre as Cassian leaps over a table in a cafe. The art on the walls looks like an interesting spider creature. Then several quick shots of different character inserts. Cassian and Bix getting rocked by a percussive grenade, Bix getting her hair pulled by an Imperial officer, and a new character screams in rage in the woods. And then we see Edie, Cyril's mother, laughing, probably taunting her son. This trailer ends with Saw Gerrera saying this:
"You're here, you're right here, and you're ready to fight."
I just love the reminder of "you're right here," because it's just a reminder to any rebel fighting in any fight that you don't need to see the big picture. In fact, it's probably best that you don't know the full picture. All you need to focus on is the one mission in front of you, and you just have to trust that that mission, whatever it is going to inspire others to take action. Huge thanks to Brandon Barrick and Noah Chen for their research help in this breakdown. Comment down below with your thoughts on this trailer. Follow me at EA Voss and subscribe to all the channels in the New Rockstars network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.